Hey everyone, welcome to Papa's Workshop. In today's video, we're going to talk about this Elegoo Neptune 3 Pro 3D printer. Now this is an amazing entry-level printer that is absolutely fantastic. Now the nice thing about this, it is perfect for the beginner and the professional alike because you can do some fantastic prints with it. This has quite a few improvements over the previous versions and is perfect for someone who has absolutely no experience. Now, this video today is really designed for the beginner. I want to show you just how easy it is to put this together and how to use this auto leveling bed and get that set up perfect for your prints. And then in the future videos, I'm also going to show you just how easy it is to be able to use the Tinkercad software to design your projects and print them out onto this machine. And of course, we have to have a slicer. Now it comes with the slicer program that you can just load into your computer, and it's called Cura, which is a very common slicer for the 3D printers. I'm going to also show you step by step how to set that up. So again, this series of videos is going to be targeted specifically for the beginners with no background in 3D printing at all. This will get you up and running in no time. I'm very pleased to be able to introduce to you today the Neptune 3 Pro 3D printer by the Elegoo Corporation. Now, I want to do a quick unboxing and assembly of this 3D printer. This is ideal for the beginner as well as the professional alike. It has so many excellent features. And the first thing I want to point out is this unit is virtually completely assembled. There are so few parts to actually assemble, I almost chose to skip this. But in the end, I decided to show this to you because there's a few little tips and tricks that I want to point out as I'm putting this together. Now you can see also this base is virtually completely assembled. Now as you would expect, the packaging is outstanding and this unit is very well protected. I want to go through each of the steps and show you exactly how to assemble it. But for the most part, when you take this upper part of the machine and put it down on the base, there's 4 screws. Looking at the owner's manual itself, very straightforward, very easy to be able to understand, and this outlines exactly the step-by-step identifying each of the parts, what's included in the particular kit that we have here, and exactly how to be able to assemble it. So even though it's very easy to be able to assemble, these step-by-step instructions are extremely detailed and give you everything that you need to know to be able to assemble this unit. I do encourage you to be able to read and follow the instructions completely, especially if you're brand new to the 3D printing, and even if this is not your first time with a 3D printer, there are some unique differences that I certainly would encourage everyone to be able to read. One of the things that I really like is this auto leveling process that we'll be going through. The software installation, again, is very straightforward, easy to be able to understand. And the nice thing about this machine is designed so that if you were an absolute beginner with no experience whatsoever, you would easily be able to set this machine up and have successful prints from the very first time trying. That's what I really like about this. In addition to that, in the manual they do have a complete picture showing the exact control board with every single component identified and listed. When you first open this up, one of the first things that you need to be able to do is verify the power setting. In my world, 115 volts is what is standard. It's very important that you set this correctly from the very beginning. Let's take a brief overlook at all the different components that come with this machine, and you're going to notice that everything is very clearly identified. Each has its own package, and quite frankly, there are very few parts to be able to assemble that. And of course, you do get all the different tools that come with this. Now this control pad just plugs right into the machine, and the nice thing about this is mobile. It's not tied to the machine itself. Here's a brief look at the data plate, and you're certainly welcome to stop the video at this point and zoom in and look at the details should you be inclined to do so. Here's a look at the parts that are actually broken down into the different bags. Like I said, there's not many there. The first step to assembly is to take the base unit and the upper body and be able to assemble it with these 4 HM5 by 45 millimeter screws. Now there's 4 of them, and all you need to be able to do is just slide these into the bottom, and that will go right into that upper body. Now there's a slot on the base that makes it where you can't make a mistake. It will go directly in. Now you did have that cable that you need to work around a little bit, but you can just easily slide that out of the way. And on the other side, these HM5 45 millimeter screws just slide right into place, and it's very easy to be able to take the supplied hex wrench and be able to tighten it up. As always, when I'm assembling a new machine, I will loosely attach all the different screws and not tighten up anything. Once I have all the screws in place, then I go back and tighten all of them and secure them, and then move on to the next step. As I had indicated, this cable just slides right out of the way, so you still have easy access to these screws. And now, after they're all tightened up, only thing you need to do is just slip this cable back into its original position, and in essence it will cover up the screws. But that's okay, that's not an issue. The next is this little stand for the control panel that slides right over onto the side of the base unit itself, and it has 3 holes that are pre-drilled and tapped, and you just screw those in. Doesn't get much easier than that. Now the screws for this are in a separate package. You just take these 3 screws and be able to slide them right into those pre-drilled and tapped holes and screw it in. Nothing exciting or nothing difficult about this process at all. Now the nice thing about this little pad, it is magnetic. So when you put in the control panel, it just drops in place and it's held there by the magnets, and so it's not going to flop around or fall off. Again, you just remove this protective covering and assembly done. And you can see this just snaps right in place. And it's easy to be able to lift off the control panel and be able to hold it in your hands. And of course, this plugs in at a very convenient point right on the front of the base unit itself. I like the fact that this now has the magnetic, it's handheld, and it's easy to be able to use. Much better than the previous versions of this that were built into the machine. The spool holder itself, easy to assemble. You just screw this into the bracket, and then there's 2 screws that will hold it on top of the upper body. And again, everything is pre-drilled and tapped. You have the 2 screws right here, which is the M420s, to be able to put this in. The next step to assemble this machine is to be able to take the filament indicator, and it has 1 screw that you need to be able to put on. And virtually, it's pre-assembled. Just take that 1 screw, slide it right into this pre-drilled and tapped location, and that's it. Now this does have the opportunity to be able to move left and right as the print head moves left and right on the x-axis, and that works fine. Now it's time to start securing all of the different cables. Now this is one of the things that I want to show you. On this little bracket right here, the easiest thing to do is to be able to curl this cable in half gently so it just slides right in place. And then that cable holder has 1 screw that you screw right into the back of this print head assembly, and that will hold it in place. Again, the hex wrench is supplied to be able to tighten all the different screws, and this one is no different. And this takes a smaller hex wrench, but it is included in the kit as I had showed you at the beginning. Now it's time just to take all of the different wires that are clearly labeled and be able to plug them in. So this first one on the x-axis will plug in right here, and then over on the stepper motor you have this one, and it will plug in right underneath on the bottom of the stepper motor itself. And this is a close-up view of a better angle so that you can see exactly how that plugs in. Now, if you're new to working with the stepper motors and these types of plugs, there is a right and wrong way to be able to plug that in. So make sure that it's oriented correctly and then plug it in. Now right now this wire is coming from underneath. That needs to change. This wire needs to come over the top portion of this gantry and plug in there. Next is the Z-axis itself. Again, it's clearly labeled. Just identify which wire has the tag on it for the Z-axis, and then you can plug that into the stepper motor right there. Again, make sure that it's oriented correctly so that when you plug it in, it goes in very easily. And those two little tabs on top go in just like that, and you can see it exactly how it goes in. Don't force it, it will go in quite easily. And then on the other side, you have the second stepper motor for the Z-axis. And again, you'll do the same thing. Just make sure that plug is oriented correctly and then plug it in. This cable is actually the most difficult to be able to do. It has a little tab right here that needs to line up with the tab that's on the print unit. And it has a bracket already pre-installed that you need to be able to do it. And again, the easiest way that I have found is you just gently bend this cable in half, let it slip right into that bracket, and then pull this cable all the way back. This is the easiest way to be able to plug this in, and one of the more challenging little plugs to be able to get to. But when you plug it in, it snaps right down in place. It has two pins on each side that will lock this cable into its position. And that is it. The machine is assembled, and it was so easy to do. It's time to turn the machine on for the first time. And when you turn on the switch, you'll see the control pad come to life, and it will start loading, and it takes literally about 30 seconds for that to happen. Now when you turn the machine on, the distance between that nozzle and the actual platform needs to be calibrated. And you do that using this leveling mode right here. Now the actual thickness that needs to be set is about the thickness of a piece of paper. So when we turn the machine on, we're going to select level. And then you can read this. This operation will trigger the return to zero action, whether to continue. So we're going to hit confirm. Now that it's turned to the zero position, I'm going to hit this right here to calibrate. And it says calibrate to bed, and yes, I want to confirm that. So it starts the heating cycle. And yeah, that's right. The print head and this bed has a heater in it that's going to heat up before it starts. And this will just take just a couple of minutes. Now, the nozzle itself is going to get to 140 degrees Celsius, and the bed itself will get to 60 degrees Celsius. On the control panel, you can actually see the temperature and watch it increase to the desired temperature. After reaching the preset temperature, start the 36-point automatic calibration. No other operations can be done during this period until the nozzle returns back to the center point of the platform. It's reached the temperature, and it's now starting that 36-point automatic calibration. So it's touching 36 different positions on the platform. And as it progresses through, you can see how it's identifying each of those points. So there's point 7, it's working on point 8, and then it's moving on to 9. And you can see how that is working over here on the platform itself. as it steps through this 36-point calibration. This makes calibration so much easier than the old machines where you had to adjust it by turning knobs underneath the platform. So now that the leveling process is complete, we need to actually make a Z-axis compensation. And that's where the piece of paper comes into play. So if I slide that paper under there, it's a little bit too tight. So I want to raise this up just a hair. And I'm going to change that to 0.01 and we'll go down. And now it's just beginning to touch. I'm going to go one more. That has a little bit of friction, so that should be set exactly where it needs to be. Now this is the PLA filament that comes with the machine to be able to do the test printing. So we'll put that on here, and we'll take the end and slide it through the filament detector. And then we'll slide this on down. Then we're going to put it right into this point and slide it all the way down to the print head. Turns right here. And that brings it all the way down to the print nozzle. Then the next step, we hit prepare. And we hit extruder. And then click load. Okay, insufficient temperature. Please click to confirm to start heating. So we'll hit confirm. So now it's heating. You can see it says 140. And we'll hit return. And of course it has to reach to 200 Celsius. I'm going to hit temperature and see. You can see the temperature, how it's increasing. So the temperature is still increasing, 178, and it needs to come up to 200. And I'm taking the little SIM card, the TF card, we're going to plug that in right there, and then hit confirm. We'll hit this, print this model. When you select print a model, there's one test model that is showing, and that's the little Buddha. So when you select that, the machine will start the operation. Now it's going to go through the various steps to be able to Z itself so it knows exactly where it is, and then it will move over to the print location. Now the first thing that it's going to print is actually called the brim. And what this does, it makes sure that the filament is heated and it's flowing and it's doing exactly what it needs to do. This is also a time that you can check to make sure that the thickness is correct. Because if the machine, for whatever reason, is too low, that brim layer is going to be very, very thin and not sufficient. Likewise, if it's too high, it is going to be bubbling up and you're not going to get good adhesion. So if you can see under here, this brim is perfect. This is what you want it to look like. After the brim is completed, of course, it'll continue with the print. Come around the back side, you can actually see it just a little bit better. And this is turning out, looks like really, really nice. I want to zoom in real close so you can see exactly what is taking place. A couple of things to note. This printer actually moves rather quickly, and it does an amazing job as it's moving through these layer by layer, or in a better term, slice by slice. This test file, all total, is going to take a little over an hour to be able to print. Now at this point we've covered about 30 minutes worth of the print time, and it's really starting to take shape. At this point you can see the details starting to come out. Now you have to keep in mind, this particular test piece does not have the extreme detail in it. It has a lot of smooth areas, but it's still showing the detail that it needs to be able to have a successful print. When the printer is done, it moves the print head out of the way and shows you the finished project. This absolutely looks fantastic. I really like the way it turned out. The brim at the bottom was a perfect thickness to be able to have good adhesion to the workbed itself. I'm very, very pleased. Now this took an hour and 7 minutes to be able to print, and once you're done, you can just hit return and it brings you back to the main screen. I removed it from the bed now, and I clipped away the brim, and you can see the finished result. Very, very impressed with this, and I can't wait to start doing some additional projects. And I hope that you will join me in the future videos to be able to show all of the different exciting projects that can be done with this Neptune 3 Pro by Elegoo. Thank you for watching this video today on the Neptune 3 Pro 3D printer. This is just absolutely a phenomenal machine, and I am looking forward to the next several videos that I will be doing to show you step by step not only how to assemble it as I did today, but how to set up the software and start designing right away. So if you like this video, by all means, give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe right down there below so you're not going to want to miss out on this series of videos. I have quite a few different projects in mind to be able to use this 3D printer, and I can't wait to be able to share them with you. So until now, I'm going to say bye-bye, but I look forward to seeing you real soon.